You got one, too.
We didn't put waiver of 10-day notice. We can start it.
Yeah, no. I was over it.
It has to be in the,
Oh, I didn't even notice that either.
it's all right. Somebody bring it up.
Well, it's kind of like a number.
Make it.
2 days. One day. Oh, well, lady. Oh.
Right after the roll call. Yeah, we're gonna swear in 3 if they're here. Look that up on the oath of office. I feel very nothing in my drawer. Okay. No, you're fine. There, we don't have funny gentlemen here. That's usually stuff.
This is their position.
You're
Like
fine.
check.
You're fine. It's a hybrid meeting, so.
They're in the middle.
There we go. Okay, it is now 7 o'clock on this November 4th, 2021. And at this time, I'll call this special call meeting of November 4th, 2021 of the General Council of the Seminole Nation to order. And before that, we do roll call. We have Mr. John Narkamy is present, Ms. Rena Tiger, and Tiffany West Thomas. I can't see each of you on the screen. I do see where Rena is on the iPhone. We're going to address the oath of office. I want the council to know that we have received the certification from the election board on these three council representatives, and also the minutes of their ban as nominating them and placing them in those specific prospective positions. So where you're at, you can repeat after me. I don't see John on here, but if he's not, address it at another time. But Rena, I see you. I don't know that Tiffany's on. I can't see her name here, but you can repeat after me, Rena, so that you actually take the oath of office this evening. Is Ms. Pittman also on the line already? Because Ms. Pittman, Representative Pittman, you never really officially took the oath of office. You've been retaining your seat by Article 4, Section 4 of the Seminole Nation Constitution. If not, we're going to go ahead and swear in Ms. Tiger. So just you fill in your name where I say I
Rena Tiger,
do solemnly swear. Go ahead
Yes.
and yeah, go ahead and
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of
that I will fully execute the office of
council representative
council representative
and will to the best of my ability preserve,
and will to the best of my
ability preserve,
ability to preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma.
and the Constitution of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma.
Congratulations, Ms. Tiger.
Thank you.
Miss West, are you also on the line with us, and John Narkemy? I don't believe that they are. Okay, Secretary, call the roll.
Leetta Sampson,
Here.
Anthony Conley, John Narkemy, Rena Tiger,
Here.
Anastasia Pittman, Terry Edwards, Nancy Fixico, Ida Gonzalez, Tamara Downey, Leon Petit,
Here.
Joseph Billy,
Here.
Dolores Harjo,
Here.
Karen Fulbright,
Here.
Ann Borba,
Here.
Stephanie Lambert,
Here.
okay. There's somebody. Stina Yesla,
Here.
Lottie Cootie. Andrea Scraper. Ella Coleman. Here. Shirley Watkins. Here. Natalie Harjo. Tiffany Thomas.
Here.
We see you here, Tiffany. Were you present when we was administrating the oath of office?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
I'm here too.
And John's here. And the reason I must do Tiffany because she has not been sworn in. The other council representatives were meeting on Article 4 and Section 4. But Tiffany, what we'll do is we won't council vote this time on this first. At this time, I'll swear you in after the roll call, and then we'll acknowledge that you're here, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Chair, I did not hear my name called. This is Representative Fulbright.
I called your name and I heard you say here.
Okay, I didn't say here, but that's okay.
Oh, it must have somebody else. 'Cause- Sorry.
That's all right.
Catherine McCoy.
Here. Here.
Charlie Hill.
Here.
Tiffany Cully.
Here.
Danita Harjo.
Here.
Willis Dethridge.
Here.
Desiree Emerton.
Here.
I have a count of 20 present and 8 absent.
Okay, at this time, I know it's a little out of order of the agenda, but what we're going to do is back up a little bit. Ms. Thomas wasn't present when we was doing the oath of office for some of the council representatives. So I'm going to conduct the oath of office for Ms. Tiffany West Thomas. So Tiffany, all you'll do is repeat after me. When I say "I," you insert your name in that particular area.
Okay.
Raise your right hand if you would. I,
I,
Tiffany West Thomas,
Tiffany West Thomas,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of
to faithfully execute the office of
council representative
council representative
and will do the best of my ability
and will do the best of my ability
to preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma.
and the Constitution of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma.
Congratulations, Ms. Thomas. So Council Secretary acknowledged that Ms. Thomas is also here from this point on. So we do have quorum, so we have met the quorum, and I'm going to ask for prayer. Brian, could you lead us in prayer tonight? Appreciate it.
Heavenly Father, as we gather here today in your honor,
Amen.
ask that you give us the wisdom, guidance, to allow us to do the work of the Lord, work for the Seminole Nation. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. right, Mr. Narkemy, we recognize you're here, but we'll swear you in at the next meeting so we won't sound too redundantly repetitious going back.
Okay.
We acknowledge that you're here, though. Okay. we're
Also,
under-
Chair, I would like to add Natalie Harjo to be excused due to her being at a training.
Okay, we're on a special called meeting, Ms. Thomas, and an excused meeting is only needed at a quarterly meeting, but that's
Okay.
fine. We acknowledge that she's not able to be here tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Unfinished business, TR 2021-49. Thank you, Mr. Farmer. We need, I entertain a motion to waive the 10-day notice.
I make a motion to waive the 10-day notice.
A motion by Representative Gonzalez.
I second it.
Representative Lambert. So we got a motion and a second. Secretary called the roll, waiving the 10-day notice.
Leetta Sampson,
Yes.
Anthony Conley,
Yes.
John Narkemy.
No,
What was that again?
no. No,
No, okay.
Yeah, we heard. Thank you,
Thank you.
Representative Narkin.
Rena Tiger,
No.
Anastasia Pittman, Terry Edwards, Nancy Fixico. Yes. Ida Gonzalez. Yes. Tamara Downey. Leon Petit,
yes.
Joseph Billy,
Yes.
Dolores Harjo.
Yes. Yes.
Karen Fulbright.
Yes.
Ann Borba.
Yes. Yes.
Stephanie Lambert.
Yes.
Cynthia Eslis.
Yes. Yes.
Lottie Cootie. Andrea Scraper.
Yes. Yes.
Ella Coleman.
Yes.
Shirley Watkins. Natalie Harjo. Tiffany Thomas.
No.
Catherine McCoy.
No.
Charlie Hill.
No, no.
Tiffany Cully.
No.
Can you say that again, Tiffany?
No.
Danita Harjo. Danita Harjo. Willis Dethridge. Willis Dethridge.
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
Yes.
I got it. Desiree Emerton.
Yes.
I have a count of 17 yes and 6 no, 0 abstentions.
By a count of 17 yes, 6 no, and 0 abstentions, I declare that the waiver of notice of the 10-day notice to have passed. So we're in unfinished business. This is TR 2021-49, which was sponsored by Representative Gonzalez, but it was tabled by the Wathley ban. I believe was the first motion. Who made that second motion on the table, Secretary? You're not sure. Say, Walkley, we've having this meeting especially for this particular item. You ready to take this off the table so that we can discuss? Representative Thomas?
I asked it for withdrawal, please.
Do we have a motion by the council to take this off the table and put it where we can discuss this matter?
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion by Representative Fixco
I second.
and a second by Representative Coleman. Secretary, call the roll.
Leah Simpson,
Council, this is to take the measure off the table for discussion.
Leah, okay. Anthony Conley,
Yes.
John Arcamy,
By all means, let's discuss, yes.
Rena Tiger,
Yes.
Anastasia Pittman, Terry Edwards, Nancy Fixico. Yes. Ada Gonzalez. Yes. Tamara Downey. Leon Petit,
Yes.
Joseph Billy,
Yes. Yes.
Dolores Harjo,
Yes. Yes.
Karen Fulbright,
Yes.
Ann Borba,
Yes. Yes.
Stephanie Lambert.
Yes.
Tina Yesla,
Yes.
Lottie Cootie. Andrea Scraper,
Yes.
Ella Coleman,
Yes.
Shirley Watkins,
Yes.
Natalie Harjo, Tiffany Thomas,
Yes.
Catherine McCoy,
Yes.
Charlie Hill,
Yes.
Tiffany Cully,
Abstain.
Abstain.
yeah, I got it. Danita Harjo, Willis Dethridge,
Yes.
Desiree Emerton,
Yes.
I have a count of 22 yes, 0 no, 1 abstention.
Say it again, Secretary.
22 yes, 0 no, 1 abstention.
With a count of 22 yes, 0 no, 1 abstention to take the measure off the table for discussion, I declare that we are off the table and it's in discussion mode at this time. We have Mr. Adam Baker here, who was the original loan officer for First United of Seminole, Oklahoma. And he's here with us this evening by the request of several council representatives. And we thank Mr. Baker for being here this evening. So I'm going to call him up to the front where the microphone is. And if you would, just turn that microphone on, Mr. Baker, and then, speak into it so that they can hear you as well from a virtual standpoint. Okay, you can face the council if you like. Does he need to face the camera so they can see him?
Good evening, everyone. I appreciate you guys having me here. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead and speak into the microphone so that everybody.
Yeah, let me do that.
It might work for the camera's sake for them to see you, and obviously they can hear you. That'd be fine. We like folks to stand when they're doing the presentation. That'll probably work right there. Are y'all that are seated fine with that?
I find myself in front of a microphone a lot, so.
Okay. Make sure that if you're viewing virtually, that you wave your hand or call chairman to that effect, and I'll address you and call upon you if you have questions. So we're going to open the floor right now. Obviously, we know we have this travel resolution for a change of terms of agreement between the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma and First United Bank and Trust Company relating to that certain Paycheck Protection Program loan dated May 4th, 2020, with the original maturity date of May 7th, 2022. So that's what we're going to be discussing at this time. So is there any questions for Mr. Baker? Unless he wants to do an introduction. Did you want to do that?
Yeah, I'll go right ahead.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you again for having me here. I'm Adam Baker. I'm the vice president down at First United Bank in Seminole, Oklahoma. This is be going into my 7th year working for the bank. Longtime Seminole County resident, and so just kind of want to come here, answer questions. So I will let you guys ask the questions, and I will be glad to answer them to the best of my ability. And if there's none that I cannot answer, I do have my cards. And so you guys are more than welcome to come into the bank and see me, and we can talk about it from there. Any questions that I can. So I'll just turn it over to you guys.
Okay, it's open for discussion for questions. Representative Petit, I see you there, and you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Baker, I have several questions here, and hopefully they'll be pretty short, but what's the status of the forgiveness request?
Currently, the forgiveness application has been submitted to the SBA and is currently in review for whatever that means. We are not actually able to get any information from the Small Business Administration as to when that will come out of review, or if we'll get a decision as to whether it's approved or denied.
Okay, whenever you submit those for the review, is there a certain time period that they have to give you an acknowledgement or denial?
No, sir. As to my knowledge, originally it was a 90-day period. However, I do believe we are just over the 90-day period for that review, but we do not have a decision yet. As it says, it's still in review.
To your knowledge, do you know if the Seminole Nation has presented what items that were needed to provide documentation on this matter?
Yes, sir. All the information that is needed for the Paycheck Protection Forgiveness has been submitted. And then additionally, there was an additional review done that the SBA required more information, in which that was all submitted within the timely manner. I do believe it's a 10 or 15-day period after they asked for the additional information, and that has been submitted as well.
So the nation's been compliant with all the requests that have been made for
Yes,
this
sir.
forgiveness protection?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and we just await an SBA decision, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there's not been any delay on our part or
No, sir.
anything that would have held it up on our side?
No, sir. The response by the tribal leaders or tribal members has been right on, and they got it to us within a very timely manner.
Okay, and as far as this, I guess they call it restructure of the loan that you're needing,
Yes, sir.
that's just kind of a housekeeping issue, is it not correct on your part?
Yes. So to explain what that is, that's a change in terms agreement that the SBA allowed the banks to grant. And what it does is it goes from the date of the origination of the loan, and we can extend it out 60 months from the date of the origination, not to the date of the current maturity date, if that makes sense.
Okay,
And-
so, excuse me,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
What else can I
So-
have?
Okay, Well, I've just got one more question then.
Go ahead.
Do we need to have some type of letter or notification from the SBA requiring that we start making payments on this, or is there a forgiveness period until we receive notice from them of the status of our forgiveness request?
So originally, what it was is after the date of origination, the individuals borrowing the money, tribe or entities, members, whatever, who borrowed the money, they had 7 months after the date of the origination to make a payment. However, the SBA sent guidance later that said if the banks wish to extend out the first payment date, then they're able to do so. So First United made a decision to do what's in the best interest of our borrowers for the Paycheck Protection Program, and we extended that out 16 months from the date of origination. So that first payment date for the Seminole Nation was September 5th of 2021.
Okay. And because of the delay in our getting what you want to, is a restructure of the loan, that's why we haven't made a payment. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, to your knowledge, any payments we make up until the forgiveness is either granted or a partial forgiveness is given, will we get a reimbursement back for those monies?
Yes, sir. If the forgiveness comes through and there's been payments applied, that money will go back towards the Seminole Nation.
Okay. Well, I think you've answered my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Representative Cootie, you have the floor.
So that when we get the forgiveness, like you said, we'll get the money back to the Seminole Nation.
Yes, ma'am.
And after that, we do not owe anything.
No, yeah, it'll be completely, yeah, the debt will be free. Yes,
So let's say, for instance, you got letters saying that, hey, we're going to forgive the loan.
no, ma'am, no. Payments at that point will cease and the loan will be closed.
Any other questions? Representative Coleman, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Just one quick question. I know that the original principal of the loan was $1.8 million.
Yes.
At what point in time was the 1.2 million returned to the bank?
So the SBA, after the loans were made, they came out with guidance and told us that they're going to offer a safe harbor period for entities and borrowers that may have gotten too much money that didn't need it. So during that safe harbor period, the Seminole Nation came to us and said, hey, you guys have loaned us too much money for the employees that we have because some of these employees are already being paid by federal grants. And so they returned the money, and I have the transaction of when that money was returned. And it was returned on 12/5 of 2020. Actually, correction, that is on May 18th of 2020. So the loan was granted on the 7th, and then they returned the money the next day on the 18th, the $1,264,400.
So you said that was returned on May the 7th, of 2020?
That was returned on May 18th. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the principal and interest is on the remaining balance, the 571,000 plus that we're to begin payment on starting this month
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
on Friday.
So with the change in terms that we have, that first payment day would be 11/5. So it's today the 5th. So that payment would actually be due today, but that wouldn't become effective until that change in terms is signed.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you because of the change in terms, y'all had September the 27th there. I was wondering if that would be changed to the date, the signature of our chief.
Date of agreement 9/27. Yes, this is when the agreement was first done after I got in touch with representatives of the Seminole Nation to kind of discuss what was going on here. And so we can offer this change in terms without and we can modify it, just whatever we need to do to it to try to make it work.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, Representative Watkins, you have the floor.
Gregor, I got one question, or maybe two. What interest rate would we use on this, that we're paying? I didn't see an interest.
That is a 1% interest rate.
1%.
Yes, ma'am. And that is fixed and it can never adjust.
And one other thing that concerned me about this actual loan itself. Basically, everything is signed by the chief and it goes through the general council
Yes, ma'am.
for approval. So I was concerned that it didn't have the general council approval. It just had our chief.
Yes, ma'am.
So I was just wondering, why that happened.
Okay. Very valid question. So the paycheck protection loans, when we were originating these loans, people were coming to us in desperate need because nobody knew what was going on at the time. And so the Seminole Nation approached us and said, hey, we're going to have to shut down our casinos. We're going to have to shut down the convenience stores. And we're not going to have the money coming in like we need to be able to support our operations. And so that's when, the paycheck protection loan came out. And so we kind of, talked about it a little bit. And I actually have a legal review that was done by the former chief, and he would give it to us because there were questions about whether or not we can actually have the chief sign on behalf of the Seminole Nation. If anybody would like to see that legal review, I have it right here in front of me. It was done by the former attorney general.
Is that Representative Tiger?
No, I have it from a Wyatt Rosette.
Why was that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'll put this microphone down to distribute.
I can scan it and put it in.
Chair,
Representative Harjo, you have the floor.
yes, I was just letting y'all know, I was trying to, be in the meeting by my phone, so I had to switch it to the computer, but I'm here, so. I didn't know if she heard me at all.
Oh, no, we didn't hear you on any of the measures. And we're basically in discussion right now, Representative Harjo, on the measure of the PPP loan.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, I heard all that. I didn't know. I was talking to my other council rep and she heard me at first, but I didn't know if y'all heard me or not. So I switched from my phone to the computer. So I'm letting y'all know I'm here. So
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you.
I think what we'll do is just take just a few moments and allow council to review this. I know some of you council out there can't see this. Is there any way that we could put it on the screen?
If I may
Chair,
ask a question.
Chair, that was my question, if they can share that on screen so we can review that.
Yeah, we're gonna try to make something of that nature happen. Just a moment, please.
Chair, point.
Representative Narconon, you have the floor.
Has our current attorney, seen this document?
I don't believe so because I have not seen this document. But I'll let her answer for herself.
No, I have not
Mr.
seen,
Ball?
I have not seen that document. I would like to see that document.
Thank you.
I'm trying to send it in.
Chair, is Mr. Baker still available? Can I ask him a question?
Yes, ma'am, go right ahead. Yes, ma'am, go right ahead.
If we were to table this again, because you're pulling up documents that our, especially our legal entity has not seen or reviewed, and especially to give us direction, do we have that option, and how much time do we have?
So at 60 days past due, which would be tomorrow, we have to issue a demand letter, which there would be a 10-day period to give any borrower time to make the payment, or we have to, and then after that 10-day period, we have to send this to the SBA to collect our guarantee. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, so calendar-wise, today is the 3rd or 4th. How much time is that? From today, from the 5th?
No,
or
that'd be from tomorrow.
September?
That'd be from tomorrow. Yes, so that'd be to the 16th.
Chair,
Representative Fulbright and then Representative Petit.
of course, I'm not able to see the document yet and haven't. And that letter, there was a letter submitted, I guess, from the Rosette Company law firm representing the Seminole Nation as our Attorney General. And they are not our Attorney General, and we have never put them in place as our Attorney General. So how would that be a legal document from the Seminole Nation if we did not put them in place to represent us?
Ma'am, it was my understanding that is that question for me, correct?
Yeah, please.
So I think what you're asking is how is this a legal document for us to use as a basis of who can sign for the loan?
Yes.
We were just under the impression that that was, and that gives the chief authority to sign for it.
Well,
Because the council,
Representative Petit, do you still have the floor, Ms. Fulbright, or did you give it up?
I'll give it up.
No, you yield the floor?
Yes,
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Baker.
Representative Petit.
Okay. Mr. Baker, this is to you. You had said earlier about the SBA had made some extensions and stuff of time for these forgiveness periods. Now, is this 60 months? Is this 5 years from the initial date of the loan requirement or loan request for this forgiveness to still be submitted?
Yes, sir. So are you asking me that if we're extending the loan from the date of the origination or the date of the current maturity date?
The original origination date.
Yes, so it is 60 months from the date of the origination. Yes, sir. So the amortization is actually only going to be 43 months.
Okay.
And actually, while we're talking about that, I have a change in terms. That change in terms that was prepared on September 27th, it's actually not fully amortizing at that $9,777. The actual amortization, to have it fully amortized at maturity without a balance, is just $13,731.55.
Okay.
And that was a failure on my part of understanding as to when we can start. I was under the impression, like some people maybe too, that we could extend it from the current date of the payment due, but it's actually from the date of the origination. And that's SBA, and they are hard and fast on that, on their guidance.
But we can still file for forgiveness, and if it is denied, then we can file for a reapplication reconsideration also, correct?
I am not sure about the latter of that question. However, I do want to clarify that the forgiveness, it is applied for, and I actually have the forgiveness application here too. I had them send that to me. Would anybody like to see that?
Would it be possible for that to be digitized and sent to each of us
Yeah, most definitely.
for our records?
Yes, I will send that to Do I need to send that to Valerie or?
Adam, do we have the ability to digitize that document now and send it out to the council? Okay, the council's just received that. At least the legal document or the supposed legal document. What we do have, and I haven't had a chance to fully read this, but if I don't think where we're getting is how did we receive $1.8 million? Did we apply for that utilizing the federal funds associated with both indirect cost and general funds? Because how did we receive a loan for 1.8 million if we did not apply for anything under 750,000? Because what you have here is a document from Rosette Law that says the chief has that authority to contract if it's under $750,000. But the original loan was $1.8 million, $1 million and $1.1 million more than what was indicated in this legal document that you're referring to. So what I'm wondering is how is it that we received a loan or an agreement and the money came down at 1.8? At one point of the application process, those federal funds and those that was always present had to be included for it to be able to be loaned out. At what point was that? I mean, because it's based on your payroll.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Obviously, and the payroll was a total of over $500,000, I believe.
So on my application, I have the payroll at 734,195 with the number of employees at 221. And so we took that 734,195 and multiplied it by 2.5, and that's how we derived at the loan amount of 1,835,400.
Representative Watkins.
Mr. Baker, do you have,
And Representative, yes,
You don't have to.
Representative Watkins.
I understand.
do you have the worksheet where, on this SBA that you work with on how you calculate all this?
So, I mean, honestly, I don't have a worksheet on it with me present. Really, it's just that formula that I just given, the average monthly payroll multiplied by 2.5, because, when everything's shut down, that's what the SBA said was, we're going to have to shut down the country for 2 months. And so that's what that was supposed to cover, was those 2-month periods of everybody's payroll and rent and whatever else.
But we do know that on some SBA applications, there's like a spreadsheet or a worksheet that work through. I just wondered if you had something similar.
So we were not required to do underwriting on these loans. However, First United Bank took the extra steps to do the underwriting. And so we have our internal underwriting that we did for it with just a short 2-page credit memo, as we call them, a credit memorandum. That way everybody's on board. Then we also get our proper loan approval procedures that go through the steps. So I do have that available, but I do not have it with me. Yes, ma'am.
Representative Yetzleth, you have the floor.
Yes, my question is, how did the bank recognize this contract or this loan paperwork without signatures? Is that something you would legally normally do? And is that acceptable? There's no signatures on that paperwork whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm not afraid I can actually answer that question and really know if it's to give you a good answer on that.
Okay, because the question, well, what Representative Fulbright is meaning is our AGs that formulated that contract were never legally recognized by the council. They were never actually voted, and that's in our constitution that you have to vote on who our AGs are, and they were never legally placed in. So any representation they did on our behalf was not on the council's behalf. And the fact that they didn't sign that in former Chief Chilcote didn't sign that, to me, that form shouldn't be valid.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, I can't answer on that. Thank you.
Yeah, Representative Baker is not legal counsel, so he cannot answer on that, Representative Isley. Representative Gonzalez, you have the floor, and then I see Representative Scraper right after Representative Gonzalez.
That original contract deed that you have, is it a contract for the Seminole Nation, or is it just the individual's name there? Because we did see his name and his personal home address, but I did not see any place where it says Seminole Nation of Oklahoma.
Okay, so I think what you're asking me in terms of the contract is the actual loan agreement itself. Okay. On my signed loan documents here, let me find it. I have the application, which this is the front page of the application. It is PO Box 1498, Wewoka, Oklahoma, 74884. Is that the mailbox for the Seminole Nation? Okay. So help me explain, when you say home address, are you talking about the home address of the signer of the loan? Where is that found at?
One of the documents, I don't have it in front of me, but there is a document that's sent to us. So I give it-
So I can answer to that. So when the SBA came out with their applications, the person who's going to be signing the loan, which with any entity, that anybody had any ownership into an entity, had any involvement into the entity, they require that we get their personal address. And I'm sure that's for reasons in case that the loan needs to be collected. I can't say that that's the 100% reason why, so I don't want to really just state that, but that was required to have on the application was the person who would be signing the note.
But it still doesn't say Seminole Nation.
What do you mean by that, ma'am?
Well, you're saying that that's what the PO says, PO box says, but it didn't identify it as the Seminole Nation.
I'm try to help me understand.
Actual application for the loan,
Yes, ma'am.
does it have the Seminole Nation on there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Under business legal name, it has Seminole Nation of Oklahoma at the top left.
I don't have that document.
Okay. I've got one here if you would like to have this one. Yep.
Representative Scraper, you have the floor.
Thank you. Is our Attorney General or interim Attorney General still available? Has she browsed this? And I know
Our interim
much-
attorney is present. Are you looking at that document, Ms. Duvall?
Yes. Yes, I've seen the scanned 3-page document, yes.
Mhm. Can you give us some direction on this from what you've heard? And I can't see what's going on over there, but I'm sure you've heard everything. And kind of give us some direction. I would appreciate it, Widow.
I haven't reviewed the citations to your codes of law, but when the bank, I believe, when the bank was presented with this document, the individuals who presented the document and the prior chief had apparent authority. The bank had no reason to question their authority as far as why they had this letter rather than a general counsel resolution as they would have been required. So I don't think that the bank, it has been your bank. I think the bank knew your processes, and when they got a legal opinion from someone holding themselves out as your attorney general, they relied on that. And part of that was that the former chief also substantiated their existence as the attorney general. And so I think the bank relied on that opinion, even though the people who wrote the opinion only had apparent authority and not actual authority. I agree that a legal opinion should be signed, and I don't know if there's a signed copy of this document somewhere, But I think the bank relied on the document in good faith because the former chief and the persons holding themselves out to be the attorney general presented it to the bank as a reason why the bank should not follow their general processes. I would agree with, I believe it was Chief who said, if this said that the prior chief had a borrowing authority up to 750,000, why was that 1.8 loaned? And I think that is just a function of the formula. When you put the payroll in, it just multiplied by 2.5. I think the former chief should have known that was outside his scope of authority and that he was acting outside his scope of authority when that happened. I don't think there was any requirement that you take all the money that the formula entitled you to. And I don't know that you can fault the bank for relying on the documents that were presented to them in this case. I think your proper cause of action would be against the former chief and the former attorney general for acting outside their scope of authority, if you cared to pursue that.
Okay, I'm looking, is there any other questions for Representative Watkins? You have the floor.
I've got a question to Ms. Duvall. You said that if we did not make a payment to the bank by tomorrow, there was going to be a domino effect. I think you said that at the last meeting, but there was other entities involved. Is that correct?
Because the Small Business Administration guaranteed loans, and you have two companies in SINDOC that are part of the Small Business Administration's 8A program, if you default this loan, it might damage the reputation and integrity of the Seminole Nation with regard to those two entities. That would be my concern. And I believe that the SINDOC attorney is or was on the Zoom, but that would be my concern, is that SBA guarantee of the loan.
Representative Lambert, you have the floor.
My question to Ms. Duvall is, could we go ahead and proceed with approving this, the new terms, and then also also proceed with the, I guess, charges or investigation or whatever it is to Chief Chilcote for doing this without authority?
Yes.
So
Approve it. I shouldn't have just answered. Approving the change in terms does not negate anything that the prior chief or the prior AG did. We've redone the change in terms. I worked with the bank's lawyer, and Mr. Baker worked with the bank's lawyer to take out the section of the change in terms that would have released the prior chief from liability.
Excuse me, Ms. Duvall, could you say that last part again? You kind of faded out.
I'm sorry. The change in terms, there were two sections at the bottom of the change in terms, if you have that document in front of you. And one of the last lines released the prior chief from liability, and the bank's lawyer has removed that language from the document. So I believe that the nation can pursue the prior chief if it chooses to do that. That the document now reads in a way where it will not be excusing the prior chief's actions if it's signed.
Representative Coleman, you have the floor.
Chair, I just want to reconfirm. Instead of.
Yeah, you turn this volume up. I'm not turning this volume up.
Okay, we had a monthly payment beginning tomorrow. Interest and principal.
Yeah.
$770. However, you stated it's actually $13,731.55 that would begin tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am, that was a misunderstanding on my part, and I actually have a new change in terms prepared here with that new payment amount of the 13,000 and whatever it was.
Okay,
Just because, and that's just done so that we don't ever have to visit this again, so that when the loan does pay off, it's fully paid off at maturity and not matured with a balance.
okay, so is that the only change that you've made in the change in terms?
That's the only one. All the other same language from the $9,777 change in terms, it's all the same. And I can give you that document right now, or
Now, what is the total again you were saying per month? Did you just say it went up from what we have discussed in the past?
It seems it's gone up from $9,770 to $13,731.55.
so when we originally prepared that change in terms, I was under the impression that the 5-year period would start at the current maturity date or at the current payment date, but it actually has to go back from the origination date. So there's good and bad in that. The good is that there didn't have to be a payment made until 16 months after the origination. The bad is that it creates a higher monthly payment because of the amortization period being 43 months and not 60.
Well, this particular item that's before us today for discussion is the one that was tabled at the last council meeting. And the new information is not the one that we're actually in discussion about. So that's something very hard to think about right there. I realize that. So Representative Borba, I think you had your hand up. Representative Borba, you have the floor. And you're muted. Unmute yourself if you would, Representative Borba.
Okay, sorry about that. I believe the Seminole Nation's caught in an unfortunate situation. The previous chief did not follow the rules of the Constitution, and we are caught in a dilemma. But at the same time, to uphold our integrity, we need to try to do the right thing. And at this time, since the loan is not forgiven, and it could be, I think the only thing that we can do is move forward, make the payment, and go after the charges of this unauthorized activity. Thank you.
Well, there'll have to be a lot of amendments to the original agreement, and it'd have to be done on this floor this night if that was to happen. And the original motion that was made was by Representative Gonzalez, I believe. So that's Ms. Duvall. And I know that you've been have spoken to Mr. Baker, but those amendments that would have to be done to be able for the nation to save face with this loan in order for it not to go in default and possibly damage any business activity of the nation in our 8A contracting and any other thing for a period, I believe it was estimated 7 years. We're going to have to know what those amendments are if the council chooses to go that direction, so that we can insert them in the existing item that came to the floor that just came off the table a moment ago.
I can tell you those amendments verbally if that would help.
What does the council desire to do? Representative Gonzalez, I believe you originally was a sponsor on this one. And now, are you willing to accept friendly amendments by the attorney, even though they're maybe be under protest to do so? But it is what's before us as a governing body this evening. And so
I believe at this time, under these conditions, our best choice would be to accept her verbal resolution. Change it.
okay.
Let us proceed.
And who seconded the original motion when we, was that you, Representative Lambert? Oh, it was, Cheesy Band back at the, it was you, Representative Coleman. All right, are y'all willing to accept those amendments to this at this time that she's fixing to discuss with us?
Mr. Chair, we had received a copy of a measure that wasn't numbered that had some edits, the red edits. This is the
Yes.
one that Ms. Duvall is going to give us at this time.
Representative Duvall, did you hear Miss Representative Coleman? She said the document that was sent out to the council that had red line versions, is that the same that you're going to request for a friendly amendment to the existing document?
Yes.
Okay. And if that is the case, we'll let her proceed, but
And the total amount is what he quoted a moment ago per month at 13,000.
yes. We had, my colleague had some friendly amendments, and so I guess right now, we let Ms. Duvall go ahead and present her friendly amendments. Then if we can have the floor after she gets through, then my colleague has some friendly amendments she'd like to present.
Okay, thank you, Representative Coleman. Ms. Duvall, did you hear Ms. Coleman through that dialogue?
I believe so, but I'm not quite sure what you're asking me. Do you want me to read the new resolution? Or
Yes,
do you want,
the ones who made the motion originally are accepting amendments to this. I believe it's on the floor, so it's back to that original form. And they're asking those amendments to be read by you, a legal counsel, to potentially, well, they want to accept it, both representatives, but read it so that the rest of the council knows what those are. And I believe they have it in front of them as well, if it was sent out by the council secretary, I believe.
all right, do you want me to read the whole thing or just the changes?
The changes.
All right. The third whereas clause of the bill is changed by striking the prior administration of, it reads, the Seminole Nation has, and I've strike through did not yet receive loan forgiveness from the Small Business Administration, striking, as was the standard procedure, under the terms of the PPP loan program for the amounts received under the PPP loan program, thereby causing the entire loan to go into repayment status. And the next whereas, the current administration of the Seminole Nation desires to work with First United Bank and Trust Company to determine if the remaining balance of the PPP loan may be forgiven, but in the interim desires to remain in good standing with regard to the loan payments to First United Bank and Trust Co. and the Small Business Administration, that part being added, to avoid defaulting on the loan and subsequent damage to the credit and reputation of the Seminole Nation, and to do so requires the approval of the change in terms agreement in substantially the same form as attached hereto, extending the maturity date of the PPP loan from May 7th, 2022 to May 7th, 2025, striking the and the next three whereas clauses, which had to do with investigation, and further striking the going through the now therefore be it resolved paragraph, that being the final paragraph of the resolution, and striking further resolved that, striking that whole paragraph that I can read if you would like me to read. And I can
Yeah,
read the
read what you're striking, please.
All right, well, let me go back to the whereas clauses that were stricken then. The whereas clause, whereas believes that additional investigation and fact finding is necessary to fully inform the general counsel of the status of this PPP loan was stricken. Whereas the current administration of the Seminole Nation believes it may be necessary to bring additional legislation to the general counsel as more information regarding this matter is uncovered was stricken. Whereas the current administration of the Seminole Nation desires authority from the general counsel to investigate this matter and to direct to the principal chief, the assistant chief, their delegates, and the attorney general to conduct this investigation. Those were stricken, as was the second further resolved paragraph that says, further resolved that the general counsel of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma hereby directs and authorizes the principal chief, the assistant chief, or their delegates, and the attorney general to conduct an investigation of the use of the PPP loan funds and to take such actions as are necessary to complete such investigation and fact finding, and to report their findings and conclusions to the Seminole Nation General Counsel. With the stricken provisions, I believe that this resolution simply approves the change in terms agreement, and that we would later, that the general counsel, if it's their desire, would later ask for a resolution to begin the investigation and the proceedings against the prior administration, if that was their choice.
I never heard the amount.
Because the whereas says that the amount is in the exhibit, which is the change in terms agreement.
Okay, and that amount is Mr. Baker.
And I did not hear that final amount. I thought it was $9,970, and I've also heard a $16,000 number, so I did not hear the final amortization amount.
So there was, sorry,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
there was a late fee applied. I've already had that waived and removed from the loan. So that new payment amount was $13,731.55, and that is a 43-month amortization.
Repeat that amount again, sir, please. Thank you.
13,000.
Yes.
731.55.
Since the change in terms was attached as an exhibit, I'd like to read what was changed in the change in terms, if that's all right. Mr. Baker, what did you say the date of the agreement was going to be? November 5th, 2021?
Yeah, this change in terms right here still has the date of agreement as 9/27/2021. So it's still referring to the first change in terms that was done, but I can have that changed to either tomorrow's date or today's date if we need to.
Okay. Either way. So looking through the change in terms agreement, the first change would be the date of agreement to either November 4th, 2021 or November 5th, 2021. That's on the right side of the change in term under the lender's name. The change in down two paragraphs, change in description of change in terms has an amount in there. That amount would be changed to $13,731.55 per month. And if you go on down, there's a paragraph that begins, the borrower hereby releases and relinquishes and forever discharges. That paragraph has not been changed, but the new paragraph that does not release the prior chief is changed from the prior paragraph in that the heading no longer includes the words continuing validity, and it starts, except as expressly changed by this agreement, the terms of the original obligation or obligations, including all agreements, evidence of securing the obligation, remain unchanged. Consent by lender to this agreement does not waive lender's right to the performance of the obligations as changed, nor obligate lender to make any future change in terms. Nothing in this agreement will constitute a satisfaction of the obligations. It is the intention of the lender to retain as liable parties all makers and endorsers of the original obligations, including accommodation parties, unless a party is expressly released by the lender in writing. Any maker or endorser, including accommodation makers, will not be released by the virtue of this agreement. And from the prior agreement, what has been deleted are these two sentences. If any person who signed the original obligation does not sign this agreement below, then all persons signing below acknowledge that this agreement is given conditionally based on the representation to the lender that the non-signing party consents to the changes and provisions of the agreement or otherwise will not be released by it. This waiver applies not only to any initial extension, modification, or release, but to all such subsequent actions. And so those last two sentences were taken out. And that's what the bank, that's what we believe maintains the obligation of the former chief on this and does not release him and allows us to proceed after the former chief if that's what the council chooses.
Mr. Chair.
Representative Gonzalez, you have the floor.
Ms. Duvall, would you repeat the payment? I heard a different number than what was originally.
I believe the payment amount was $13,731.55. Mr. Baker, did I read that correctly?
You did.
Okay.
Did she say 35?
$13,731.55. Yes, ma'am.
Representative Watkins, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion for friendly amendment to appropriate funds to make this monthly payment. Friendly amendment number one.
Ms. Watkins, can you speak into the microphone so those that are listening and watching virtually can hear? Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Number one, friendly amendment, page 1 first, whereas page paragraph insert, and to make expenditure from available funds for tribal purposes, and at the end of paragraph whereas. Okay. On friendly amendment number 2, page, the second page, where it says, whereas the general counsel makes an appropriation from the remaining balance of the settlement account in monthly principal and interest payment of $13,731.55. At the end and before the now, therefore, be it resolved that paragraph. On number 3, friendly amendment number 3, excuse me, Mr. Chair and the council. The bank's change in terms agreement document, I suggest the following friendly amendment. Correct the date of agreement from 9/27/2021 to 11/5/2021 for the date the chief signs upon approval from the general counsel.
Okay, that friendly amendment has been accepted, has been made and accepted by Representative Coleman. Are there any comments at this time? Discussion? Representative Narkemy, then Representative Gonzalez.
I have a question for Attorney Duvall. At the last council meeting, I'm not sure we asked you to make an investigation, but we did ask you to ask questions of your own and report back to the council. My question is basic. I understand. I know you asked questions. Are you satisfied with your answers?
Based on the accounting reports I received from Kyle Dover, your outside accountant that I analyzed, I do believe that the remaining $571,000 of PPP funding was used for appropriate purposes for salaries of individuals who are not covered by other programs, retirement benefits, and health insurance, which were allowed under the PPP program. And based on those reports, all of the numbers tied within about $1,000. So I am satisfied, yes, that they were
Okay.
used for appropriate purposes.
Mr. Baker, I know you're not involved in tribal affairs and how we organize our business, but we are a nation of bands. And at this point, many bands have a policy of taking financial discussions to their bands. Is it, I know we've discussed at great length how to keep the nation out of any financial problems, keeping us in good standing. And so far, your bank has been very understanding with us. But that being said, this is business that some bands still would require of their own individual bylaws to bring before their bands. Is the bank in a position to offer us an extension to grant our individual bands time to take this back and discuss them with our bands before we make any decision on this?
So I think what you're asking is can we allow more time for a decision to be made?
Without penalties.
Honestly, I don't know that I can answer that question right now. I do believe at the 60-day period that I have to send a demand letter and wait for 10 days for a payment to come in. That is my understanding at this current point.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Representative Sampson, you have the floor.
Yes, I would like to ask Valerie a question. What can we do to ensure this doesn't happen again? Put our nation in jeopardy as such? What can we put in place?
Everything's in place.
But it happened.
In all honesty, the world was not prepared for a pandemic. And when it happened, all of these emergency procedures in place, I think we could pass a resolution and hand it to any bank that you do business with, whether it's deposits, lending, even safe deposit boxes, that says no action can be taken in the future on any of our accounts without a council resolution. And then I think if that was in place, they would be on notice of your laws and that this would not happen again. Now, this would not keep a chief and an attorney general from going to another bank that you didn't already have a relationship with, but your current banks would be on notice that absolutely nothing happens without a council resolution, even in a pandemic.
Thank you.
I just want to clarify something. This specific type of loan, obviously, SBA loans, PPP loans, which is not as common, that is determined by the time and era that we're living in by many, many entities and businesses during the last year and a half. But we have laws in place. We have statutes in place. We have a constitution in place. Now, what I would say is that there are allowabilities for our entities like Seminole Nation Gaming Enterprise, Seminole Nation Division of Commerce, that allows them to take out loans up to a certain amount without the council approval. And that's by tribal code. So I don't want the council to get confused on what's being said here, because that's in code. Obviously, land as well by those two entities up to 3 million. I think anything above $1 million on anything else outside of land is 1 million. So the codes are there to help those economic development entities to be able to do things that pertain to functioning of business. I think what you're asking for, Representative Sampson, is already present within our existing laws and codes. It's just, you're saying, how can we keep anyone from doing this again? I believe to make sure that they're appraised with our laws, but also a tribal council. And I know I don't want to offend anybody, but the governing body of this nation must never enable any individual in the nation, regardless of if it's a chief or a chairman of a board, to act in the manner and the way that we've had in the past administration, because what it does enable ones to do exactly this. I mean, the council never took care of the attorney general situation. We went nearly 2 years without it being a real issue of the governing body. So things are in place to protect us as a nation. If we as people will also want to protect the nation, that is according to our oath of office of every elected leader. Representative Cootie, you have the floor.
A question to Mr. Ball. I heard you say something about the dollars used for our health for the employee was behind, and we also had issues with fines with CIA. Was those dollars used to pay those? Does anyone know?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you. Under the terms of the PPP loan program, the funding could be used for payroll, health insurance, and retirement savings contributions, and still be qualified. I didn't understand the part about the BIA.
We were going to be fined because we were behind. It was like $200,000, and altogether, I think all these other money's not accounted for in the past administration before this last one. We were in a hole for about $1 million. So from that point on, I'm wondering, we're talking about what's happening now. But when that happened, the chief that went into the office, he had no money to work with. He had to get monies to pay for the health insurance, and the BIA fines had to be paid.
Representative Cootie, what you're speaking of, in all due respect to you, is not germane to what subject matter we're speaking of now. And
well, I just want to know if those monies that we got from the PPR was used to pay those.
they were not.
Or not.
They were not.
All right, I just thought I heard them say that. That's what I wanted to find out.
It's not germane.
Thank you.
Representative Coleman, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This question is for Mr. Baker. You're talking about the demand letter since the payment is due tomorrow. And if the payment is not made in the amount of $13,731.55, you would be forced to send a demand letter to the Seminole Nation for a 10-day period. And if it's not addressed, and you said that the guarantee amount would have to be paid, is that the 500 and what amount are we looking at? Are we looking at that
Yes, ma'am.
$551.62
Yes.
that would be due all at one time?
Well, so how that works on collecting on the guarantee is the bank would just collect the guarantee from the U.S. government, Small Business Administration, and then any bargaining or collection would be with them, and the bank would be out of the deal. So just to kind of provide clarity around that is that, the SBA set this up so that they could help businesses, help small business owners be able to afford payroll and the costs that are okay with it. They just used the banks because we had the money and we were able to get it out in the community. So we're just kind of I guess you could call us the intermediary fiduciary, if you wanted to call it that. Does that provide clarity for your question?
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
So to my colleagues, we find ourselves in an untenable position at this particular time. And that we have to make a decision tonight. And that we have the friendly amendments before us that we need to take action on, and I'll call for questions.
I'm going to, for clarification, we had a lot of reading both by the interim attorney and also the friendly amendments made by Representative Watkins, Representative Coleman. So the original item came off the floor. So we need a motion to approve it with the amendments.
I make a motion to approve it with the amendment.
There's a motion to approve with the amendments,
Okay.
and there's a second by Representative Gonzalez. And now that the motion to approve the document as well as the amendments, the friendly amendments to that document, I believe we need to, if the council so desires, we need the council to speak on this matter as far as, before we go to the vote, how serious of a matter that this actually is. And if I need to leave the chair and put Assistant Chief here and go on the floor and speak to the council, I will, but I hope that the council has some dialogue now that there's a motion and a second with the friendly amendments attached to this motion and second. So any other council representatives have some comments or discussion? Representative Narkman, you have the floor.
The only thing I can urge, Chairman, the only thing I can urge my fellow representatives is that the bank has a perfect right to pursue the terms of their loan. And that's, I understand that completely. The nation does have a responsibility here, and that is a large concern. However, each of us as representatives have a responsibility to our bands. And before there's any kind of action, I ask that each and every representative ask if they're honoring their responsibilities to their individual bands. Thank you.
I would say
John,
to,
just ask for all of us to go back to our ask and tell them what.
Representative, identify yourself This Representative Sampson?
Yes,
Representative Sampson, you have the floor.
yes, Chief. At the same time, I do understand about the not coming up and trying to go against the situation with the AG, but you are also the assistant chief. Could you not help us do those things at that? When this was going on, because it's like a last minute issue coming up on our council to have to rush to a decision to make things right within our nation. So we all got a part in this. And it's very hard because it makes you a little angry and it makes you a little fearful for our nation. We want to stay in good graces with the bank and other entities like this. So I'm just saying, we all have to come together and make a final decision, but can we not do an investigation?
As it has, and I'll ask you, because you asked the question, all the red lines that was taken out of the agreement, it doesn't take out the ability of the nation to act according to what you just stated at another time. But what's before us tonight is what we've just discussed for the last hour and a half. So we have a motion, a second, and we have the friendly amendments. I believe the period of years that could be damaged for the Seminole Nation if the federal government wanted to do so is up to 7 years. And those types of things are not taken lightly on defaults of loans. And as your chief of the Seminole Nation, I realize what the bans are, but I want to also encourage the council that you have a responsibility as a Seminole Indian council representative of the governing body of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma to protect this nation when you have the opportunity to do so as a representative. And even though we may have different opinions about this matter, it is what it is before us this evening. And it's in our hands to be able to protect and defend the Constitution of the Seminole Nation as we have all taken our oath to do so. And potential harm that can come to the nation is not fulfilling of that as a council representative or any elected leader. And it's within the powers of the council to protect this nation at this time. And that's all I'm going to say on this matter, because I hope that you do protect the nation. And we will come out of this, okay? We will come out of this if you do protect the nation at this time. If you don't, possibility of 7 more years of, that's a possibility. I mean, I'm not saying it's the actuality, but it sure is a possibility. And with 8A certification and what the Division of Commerce is planning to do with government contract in the very near future, it could damage those things. It could also, we're doing expansion of the clinic, and those areas that need to be secured to be able to make sure that we're doing those expansions as far as funding is concerned by the Division of Commerce could be jeopardized as well. So I'm just saying that not to be harsh or not to be derogatory, but this is a time to step up to where the people elected you to be. And really, when you're a part of the governing body of the Seminole Nation, that's your responsibility as well, because you're in a quorumed meeting of the governing body of the Seminole Nation. So I hope that the proper decision is made at this time where we won't be hurt by this for long term. Representative Watkins. Oh,
Actually,
I see.
Mr. Ball,
It's just, yes or no question. We do owe the debt. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Second, we do need to make a payment tomorrow of $13,731.55. We stay in good standing with the bank.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Another question is, we don't want it to default. And the next question, let's say in good standing. Oh. I'm sorry. Okay. We've got to make that payment. There's no choice about it. We've got to stay in good standing. And this may be forgiven. That's number one. And we're going to get it refunded back. Is that correct, Mr. Baker?
Yes, yes. Forgiveness, any funds that have been paid towards the loan will be refunded.
So I don't see any way around this. You know, we've got to take this chance and to protect the nation. So that's how I look at it.
Okay, Representative Borba, and then Representative Fixico after that. Representative Borba. Representative Borba, your microphone is muted.
My question is to Mr. Baker. Mr. Baker, the terms of the payment have changed. When did you notify the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma that the payment was increased?
I don't remember the specific time in which that was done. However, actually, if the loan was in its current standing, that payment is $102,000 because it's only on like a 9 months term and not a 43-month term.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think probably as far as that amount that it was amended to, at least this is the first time I've heard it with my years tonight. That $13,000 a month.
Yes, sir.
This is the first time I've heard it with my years, that amount. I want to make that very clear. Representative Fixico.
My question is, where are we going to get the money? Because tomorrow is this,
It was mentioned in the friendly amendments. where
okay,
funds
do
would
we
come
have
from.
money for that payment?
In the amendment, in that particular account, there is funds to make some of the payments.
Okay, well, I just want to clarify about the missed it. Now, what I was thinking about that payment and it just scared me a little bit. Thank you.
I can understand, Representative Fixico. Okay, is there any other questions? And then we'll go to the question. I mean, it is where it's at, and don't want to drive this into the ground, but it is a very important issue, council representatives. Maybe one of the most serious concerns we've had in a long time. Okay, if there's no further questions, then the motion on the floor is to accept the terms of the change of terms of the agreement with the amendments that was read both by the interim attorney as well as the friendly amendments that was read by Representative Coleman and Representative Watkins, actually. So that's what's on the floor before the council this evening. So if there's no other further
A call
discussion,
for the question.
Secretary, call the roll.
Leetta Sampson,
No.
Anthony Conley,
No.
John Narcome,
Yes.
Rena Tiger,
Yes.
Anastasia Pittman, Terry Edwards, Nancy Fixico,
Yes.
Ida Gonzalez,
Yes.
Tamara Downey, Leon Petit,
No.
Joseph Billy,
Yes.
Dolores Harjo,
Yes.
Karen Fulbright,
Yes.
Ann Borba,
Yes.
Stephanie Lambert,
Yes.
Cindy Yesla,
Yes.
Lottie Cootie, Andrea Scraper,
Yes.
Ella Coleman,
Yes.
Shirley Watkins,
Yes.
Tiffany Thomas,
Abstain.
Catherine McCoy,
No.
Charlie Hill,
No.
Tiffany Cully,
Abstain.
Danita Harjo,
Abstain.
Willis Dethridge,
Yes.
Desiree Emerton,
Yes.
I have a count of 15 yes, 6 no, 3 abstentions.
With a count of 15 yes, 6 no, 3 abstentions, I declare TR 2021-49 with amendments to have passed. We have a new business item here. I realize there's a lot of concerns about this. Representative Cootie?
One question I wanted to ask, I heard that, the, tribe purchased 2 cars for $100,000, 50,000 each. Is that true? I just wanted to ask to other people asking you.
We're actually a new business. There was nothing, well, I'll answer your question according to how you stated that. And
I'm
the,
just asking because people hear rumors and when they ask me, I have no answer. So I said, let me find out, and I have an answer.
now say that again so I can understand it clearly.
I understand that there were 2 car purchases, 50,000 each, and the 2, so 100,000. So they want to know why it was purchased.
I would say, according to what just came out of your mouth, no. What, I'm answering the question that came out of your mouth. Yeah.
And you said work with people, if you ask me, I don't
Yeah.
answer. I want to know.
I'm answering your question that you asked on this floor tonight, okay? In the manner and the way that you asked it.
Sorry,
I'm not upset. It's just, I'm just saying no to that particular question and the frame and the words that you used in that question. What's that? Okay, what we're going to do with this I do believe that we are in for a harsh winter. That was the whole purpose of this. It wasn't to catch anybody by surprise or circumvent anything. This is an appropriation to an existing service to the members of the Seminole Nation. We didn't have any new business tonight except this particular item. It's introduced by the office of the chief. We'll bring it back hopefully at the next meeting and for the consideration of the tribal council. There's no one here that would put a motion on the floor unless they want to put a motion on the floor. Yes, Representative Watkins.
I have a question on this deal.
Well, there's no motion on the floor or a second, so I don't know that we're going to even discuss it unless I get a motion and a second to bring it to the floor of this council. Although Representative Fixico made a motion to TR 2021-59. It was seconded by Representative Lambert of the Miccosukee Band. So we are now in discussion. Representative Watkins.
Thank you. On this, I guess it'd be ARPA funding, is that correct?
That would be correct.
Okay, is that going to be for emergency assistance for in-county, or is that going to be out-of-county, or for all tribal members?
The existing, although there's some differences with how this would be applied from the emergency tribal assistance, the differences are there, and that would be there is no boundaries, and there is no medium income that's in the normal small appropriation that the council normally does on an annual basis. So it actually would reach a lot more tribal members wherever they may live.
Okay, so social service will be the one to set this up?
To administrate it
Great.
and,
Thank you.
and change the application form to fit with the ARPA guidelines, which would be there's no medium income on this one, as well as we don't have any boundaries on the one that's existing, actually. We want the council to know that out of county means out of county. You know, whether you're, in Oklahoma County or you're somewhere there in Kansas. So that's what out of county means. Representative, you still have the floor.
Okay, this 500,000, is that coming out of the 88 million?
That's where it would come out of, is that particular amount. We are, as I stated early on, we are going to have a meeting on an overall plan of the ARPA funds. The only reason this really comes because we are possibly going to have a winter according to all the estimates. And we know that many times the amount that the council appropriates on an annual basis does run out fairly quickly, especially in county. Sometimes there's out of county funds that's left, even at the end of a fiscal year in this. So out of county would be eligible, definitely. Representative Cootie.
One question I want to ask is, I know sometimes the elders, they get left out with the assistants and everything. I was wondering if it would be possible to get like through the senior center to get the seniors list of names, and that they could be serviced, they could be helped to fill out paperwork, whatever it's got to be, so that they can get help. And I know there's a lot of people that's gonna be applying for this, because like you said, hard work stuff, you're gonna need it. And so, and with the amount of money that we're appropriating, is that for just 1 year?
Well, until the funds are exhausted, that if this was to pass until those funds are exhausted,
So it could be less than a year.
it could be less than a year. It just depends on the applications that are submitted and the need as it's expended.
So would it be possible, like I asked, if the senior center could get names of the seniors that need the service so that somebody can help them fill out the paperwork so they can be serviced? Sometimes the money runs out before some of them are serviced.
I think that we can try to do our best in letting, and I would encourage, if this was to pass this evening, everyone to let the elders know that there's additional funds for energy assistance. It's basically for energy assistance. It's not for water. It's for energy assistance, how you heat your house during this winter, whether it's electric or propane or whatever. And it's for the purpose of an assistance. So it's going to have the same guidelines except the medium income as far as the amounts. So it just actually stretches that program a little bit more to meet more tribal members in this upcoming weather.
When we talk to elders, you know, when they hear their praise and everything, sometimes I think they don't have someone to help them with paperwork or whatever, and then they stop. So I'm just saying, maybe we can consider finding out from them.
We can try to do all that we can as far as trying to get the word out. But we will need your help as well if this was to pass this evening, to let those elders know. Representative Narkemy, and then Representative Petit, then Representative Scraper. Representative Narkemy.
Right now, it's classified under emergency assistance. And that falls under discretionary fund under the executive office, correct?
No, it doesn't fall under discretionary funds. But what it does do is there is an annual amount that's given for the normal emergency travel assistance.
Correct.
Now, this would be not ran exactly like that because you're taking some of the perimeters of those median income guidelines out so that it can actually help more people that maybe not meet that 200% medium income guideline. So
would you consider just placing this under social services directly?
It
So
is.
that they could administer it.
That's where emergency travel assistance is administered from, and it would be administered from the existing staff.
Okay. The
Representative Petit, then Representative Scraper.
Chair, while my band can understand that there is not any restrictions as far as median income or jurisdictional boundaries, which is listed in this resolution, they were concerned about how this more specific language in this resolution, which would state how many times a person could apply for this money and where the money would be issued directly to that individual or to their, say, heating and cooling provider to make sure that the bill got paid. Could that language be inserted into this?
Well, actually, Representative Petit, under that particular program, and I was as a predecessor to this, possibly going forward by this tribal council, was working along with the social services to possibly adapt a application, and that application will state that it's one fiscal year, which if it passes, then this fiscal year will be a one-time assistance for this fiscal year and end on September 30th of next year. So that's within the application itself. So it doesn't necessarily need to be here, but I do take what you're saying as a concern from your band, and we would actually protect that so that it can go further and meet more tribal members that may have a need. So it would be once fiscal year, one assistance for this fiscal year.
could we add that language into this resolution?
I suppose if you wanted to make a friendly amendment, you could add that language into this resolution. It will be in the application and under the some of the limited guidelines of ETA, but there will be some changes because it's ARPA funds. Even the whole application will be in bright red ARPA, ETA, emergency tribal assistance, and not the normal practice of what we do with the limited funds that come in to that program annually. So yes, if you want to make that friendly amendment and the motion to approve, they accept that, we sure can add that.
Okay, well, I'd like to make that a motion that it be a one-time payment. Is it a one-time payment with a one-year deadline?
No, it's a one assistance per fiscal year, which we're already in a fiscal year now, and this fiscal year ends on 9/30 of 2023.
Okay, can we put a cap on that one-time assistance?
Well, there is within the assistance, within the program itself. And I want everyone to know it is assistance. So it's $150 per individual or $200 for more than one person in the household to assist with energy assistance. And I might, elaborate on that, to assist with energy assistance.
Okay, well, I think it would have been nice to have had that in this resolution so that my man could have understood how many times a person could make an application for this money.
It might have been nice, but I would ask all new council representatives to familiar yourselves with our programs that we have with the Seminole Nation as well. So when we say emergency travel assistance, that's what it means under the auspicities of the social services. But okay.
Okay, Chair. Well,
is that a friendly amendment, Mr. Petit?
Yes.
His friendly amendment, Representative Fixico, is that to put in the actual resolution that it is a one-time assistance per the fiscal year that we're existingly in. So, a person can't come back more than once for this same assistance from this same allocation. Do you accept that?
I agree with that. And it is through another program like so, that we have, like you said, it's going to be some harsh winter here. There are people that will need this assistance. And we need to grant it to them people, whether they have children or they're elder or whatever. Let them, have the assistance. That's what I like to say. Yes.
Okay, that friendly amendment was accepted. Who did the second on this motion? You, Ms. Cootie, Representative Cootie, you accept that friendly amendment? Oh, Stephanie, you accept that? Okay, it's been accepted, Representative Petit, your friendly amendment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I yield back.
Representative Scraper.
Yes, Chair. I know you were saying that the title is going to be energy assistance. I would just request that social services keep in mind that those who are applying for LIHEAP, whether it's through the state or another tribal entity, if we don't live within jurisdiction, if we're another tribe or one tribe, they always check with our tribe to see if we're already receiving energy assistance. They don't specifically state if it's a tribal program or anything. They just ask energy assistance. And this stating it as energy assistance might hinder some of their assistance that they receive elsewhere. So it's just a reminder and a friendly, just some suggestion to think about that. And I'm sure social services understands that about LIHEAP program.
They do. They run that program on an annual basis. Any other questions from anyone? Representative Watkins, you have the floor.
When we think this program will go into effect, that idea?
We'll make an announcement of it, but it's going to be as soon as that application form can be confirmed. according to what the council agreed on tonight, and throughout the resolution. And so I would say it's going to be really quick. It's going to be quicker than the distribution, and I will say that. So it's, and I'm not making light of that either. I just want you to know, it will take us, we're going to work on this thing tomorrow, and we can make the transfer into the Emergency Travel Assistance ARPA based on this resolution, and create an account especially for that. And I want to assure the council that's what we're doing right now, is we're going to track the ARPA funds. We're going to track the rest of the CARES funds and all of the different programs that have it. And that really hasn't been clearly tracked. And once that we put those things in place, then we'll give you reports from every program or department that received either CARES Act funds or ARPA funds outside of the tribe's appropriation from the Treasury. So I know many of you asked for that, and we're putting that together actually as we speak. So it's going to take some time though, but we'll get that together so you can be assured that what programs have ARPA funds and what they're being spent on, what programs have CARES Act funds, and those are on the same schedules as the tribe's appropriations. Some of them are very close, but they're not all exactly the same. Okay. Is that any more questions? If not, we'll go ahead and call for the question.
I call for the question.
Secretary, call the roll.
Leota Sampson,
Yes.
Anthony Conley,
Yes.
John Narkemy,
Yes.
Rena Tiger,
Yes.
Anastasia Pittman, Terry Edwards, Nancy Fixico,
Yes.
Ida Gonzalez, Tamara Downey, Leon Petit,
Yes.
Joseph Billy,
Yes.
Dolores Harjo,
Yes.
Karen Fulbright,
Yes.
Ann Borba,
Yes.
Stephanie Lambert,
Yes.
Sina Yeslis,
Yes.
Lottie Cootie,
Yes.
Andrea Scraper,
Yes.
Ella Coleman,
Yes.
Shirley Watkins,
Yes.
Tiffany Thomas,
Yes.
Catherine McCoy,
Yes.
Charlie Hill,
Yes.
Tiffany Cully,
Abstain.
Danita Harjo,
Abstain.
Willis Deathridge,
Yes.
Desiree Emerson,
Yes.
I have a count of 22 yes, 0 no, 2 abstentions.
Okay, 22 yes, 0 no, and 2 abstentions. I declare that TR 2021-59 to have passed. I do want to say this. Representative Cootie asked me a specific question, and she gave specific numbers of an amount. There are executive vehicles that was purchased, but not for the amounts that you say, quite a bit less than what you said. And what I will say, it is also allowable, okay? It is also allowable to have done that. And I want everybody to know that executive office is not stingy. We have never been stingy, at least I haven't. And and I'm not supposed to say chair hasn't. And what we are already providing through the executive office is on a case-by-case basis with, a tribal employee always has to drive a vehicle. But there's times that a tribal vehicle is needed. We get it asked, and as if a tribal employee can drive those vehicles for the sake of, I mean, you can't, we're not going to say every little small trip can be done with it, but we're free to allow these vehicles to be able to use by tribal programs and/or even some of our entities when they would have to travel. So it's not like it was an idea of trying to be selfish or anything of that nature. It was something that was needed. And we're not going to be paid mileage. You know, there are a lot of chiefs over the years that's been paid a lot of mileage over the years, fees and fines for golfing and so forth. You will not find this executive office doing those types of things. One thing, we don't play golf, but those types of things are there. Now, that's my statement there, and on that. So that's the actual answer.
I have a question about that, but again, when people ask me questions,
Yeah.
if I don't know, I need to know. And so that I say, oh, this happened, this is how, what's going to happen, or whatever. I'm putting it on, so I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to say, you're right or wrong.
Right. Well, I was definitely answering your question the way in the form that you answered it, but I wanted that clarification to be known.
Yeah.
Okay.
This way, I can keep the people, they ask me, I say, hey, what person, that's the problem, whatever employee that needs to travel.
Well, yeah, well, definitely specifically for executive. And as I said, there's times we can make those kind of approvals, and we already have done that because our honor guard doesn't have vehicles, but there's times they're going to be able to use these vehicles for longer trips. I'm not saying like just to go to Bowlegs or something. Longer trips, we're definitely going to allow those kind of things. You have to have a tribal employee driving, always. Yeah, a tribal employee always has to drive these vehicles for purpose of liability. Yeah, where y'all gonna go, Golden Corral? Okay, that's the end of business tonight, council. Okay, hold it. We had somebody raising their hand, and that's Representative Narcomi before that motion was made. Representative Narcomi, you have the floor.
I was just going to state that I understand along what you were just discussing. I understand your reasons, but still, that's a large chunk of change, and I know it's part of your budget. But I urge the executive office to ask the question in the future. Just because you can doesn't necessarily mean you should, at least for that amount. Because that's a big chunk of change, and I realize you're within your rights to do it, but just because you can doesn't necessarily mean you should. That's all.
I know you must speak, Representative Narcomi, and I appreciate your words. Motion to adjourn. No objections to adjournment. We stand adjourned at 9:09 p.m. on this November